Star Citizen Alpha 3.19.1 is now live. This patch is genuinely pretty good and pretty solid. However, there's a bit more drama with ships and items being wiped from a lot of players that hadn't expected that, and some annoying major bugs. That said, it's a big improvement, this patch, of what we've had so far in terms of playability in 2023. So there was no wipe with 3.19.1. Well, there wasn't supposed to be. Cloud Imperium said, going into 3.19.1, we're not performing a LTP, long-term persistence wipe. With that said, persistent entity streaming and going into 3.19.0 had created a few knock-ons with how long-term persistence is behaving, which may have caused some items to go missing without certain steps taken. These major issues have now been resolved, but this is more for future migration rather than currently. So they did have a previous thread that basically said, bam, if you unstow your ships and items, so like take them out and then put them back and save them, then there is a long-term persistence record for them and they should be copied over more readily. However, it seems a lot of players had their stuff wiped, ships and items wise. Even players that did apparently unstow and then restow their stuff and followed the advice did not have their stuff copied across. Now, some people did. Just a lot of people didn't. Cloud Imperium have said, we're currently investigating reports of item loss after the launch of 3.19.1 today. We'll keep you posted once we have more info. It is always a bit soul-destroying, losing your progress when you don't expect to. Maybe Cloud Imperium will come up with a hotfix that will have this stuff reappear or give people a load of Alpha UEC or something, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, the feature updates and improvements for the patch. ASOP Technical Refactor. While this is mostly transparent and under the hood, the terminals by which you spawn ships have had a load of observable advantages and fixes. So they've got rid of the ship delivery times for ASOPs. So this isn't the sort of cost of claims and times for claims and expediting, although the times for claims and expediting have been reduced and significantly for larger ships. So it is some fantastic updates there. The terminals are just a load more snappy and responsive, while also being more robust and resistant to being broken. You should see less bugs and ships no longer in bad states from using an ASOP terminal. Just, yeah, it's a much better experience now. The tractor beam experience for moving items around has been severely improved, so this now ignores rotations when attaching mining items, gimbals, salvage items, rockets, all that sort of jazz. This is just so much easier to attach an item. It's no longer super fiddly. You can detach saddlebags and transport them in cargo ships or just ships with a cargo hold, but you do need to have those saddlebags equipped to a prospector or mole before you can sell or refine the ore. I believe that's still the case. You can put the saddlebags from the mole on the prospector, which just gives it a load more space for ore, and then you can actually just save that as a loadout, and even when you reclaim the ship, you'll have those larger saddlebags. I just think that's awesome, but then makes me go, well, if I don't do that, then I'm just missing out on ore. I can confirm that they've kept the gun rack claims as well, so you can put your FPS weapons in the gun racks of your ships and then save the loadout of that ship, and then when you claim your ship, that actually will still have those FPS weapons there. Mineable scanning update has been made, so they've made it so that scan results on the mining HUD account for active laser modifiers without having to shoot the mineable with the laser. A bit less faff there, which is nice. Ship updates wise, the Fury had some polish. They made improvements to the rotational performance and fuel usage there. They've increased the Corsair maneuvering thruster HP. They added the Furies and the Corsair as well to Free Fly, Racing, Pirate Swarm and Vandal Swarm in Arena Commander. Lorville has had a load of little performance updates and LOD updates, so you should notice your FPS there is significantly better. There's been a loot and cargo update. Salvage claim ships will also have cargo on board if they have a bay, so anytime you go for like a salvage claim, when you go there, if they've got a cargo bay, they will have cargo on them. Saurian hides have been removed as cargo that you can find. They were like 220k Alpha UEC per SCU. Gasping Weevil eggs are now top dog when it comes to cargo. There are 100,000 Alpha UEC per box. All unsellable cargo's been removed from ships you can find. Ships that are destroyed as part of missions or combat now have a chance to spawn cargo if they have a cargo bay. It's worth making use of the weapons and components you salvage as well. You can't sell them for much, but you can equip them to your ships and then save the loadout, and then it's part of that ship even if you make an insurance claim. That will save you a lot of funds just by taking them during a salvage claim mission, and obviously because you can choose what ships you go and salvage in the salvage claim missions all the time, well, you can sort of cherry pick what weapons you know are going to be on them. So salvage missions as well will net you around 50% profit from just hull scraping, plus the value of any weapons and items and cargo you reclaim as well. I believe they've also updated the loot pool for items that spawns in boxes and bodies as well. We do know there's sort of like a 3-month exclusivity period on sort of subflare and stuff like that for these loot pools. For me, this is the best treasure hunting patch they've made. So this is absolutely fantastic for people wanting to do salvage, to blow up ships and then sort of board them and loot them. It's just a cool amount of loot to find. I would have liked them to keep the hides there as well, just because they were worth so much and it was a nice thing to find. It's possible they still exist, I just haven't seen them because they're so rare now. Some of the other cool stuff, players that were suffering from that unstowed issue or unable to sort of log into Star Citizen, you should be back in now. The character repair tool is available to use as well. 30k protection and recovery should be working again, allowing for cargo haulers to not be as at much risk. So this will basically, if you 30k or disconnect, your ship will return for recovery to your home or the last station you visited after around 10 minutes. So bear that in mind, don't immediately claim the ship. Starfarers as well can still act as carriers for the Furies. I spent the morning looking at some streams to see other people's experiences of 3.19.1, so performance and stability wise, this appears to be a lot better for many players. It's a bit anecdotal at this point though, so we'll have a better handle on this over the weekend. AI, in some cases, seem to be a lot more responsive. So FPS AI seem to have some lag associated with them sometimes. Other times they're relatively responsive. The pilot AI, the ship AI, seem to be a lot better. Again, that might be anecdotal. Alpha 3.19.1 is the last time you will be able to play the current version of Pirate Swarm and pick up the Pirate Aggressor badge for completing it in multiplayer, as in 3.20, a new version will replace that. There is an extensive amount of bug fixes in 3.19.1. I want to go through them quick. So this is all stuff they fixed. Toby Eye Tracker, that's been fixed and they've updated it to the latest SDK. 19k and unstowed account issues. Issues causing AI to duplicate in locations around the persistent universe, having hundreds of NPCs just randomly standing around. Debris obstructing and not being cleared from hangars. The medical bay bed and screen being obstructed in hangars. Ships being shown as destroyed on the ASOP when you store them. Claimed and delivered ships should no longer load into the wrong location when primary residence is changed. ASOPs should no longer fail to register ship destruction in specific conditions, allowing retrieval of permanently destroyed ships and hindering insurance claims. Players should no longer be unable to retrieve ships after disconnecting ungracefully. ASOP terminals should no longer be unusable and fade to black when accessed. Leaving and returning to salvage mission contracts should no longer reset progress. Reclaimer elevators should now respond to inputs. They fixed an issue where players could not equip a new Mobiglass after unequipping and losing it. They fixed an issue where interactions were sometimes not working after opening the star map, and an issue where the assigned docking collar HUD element would no longer appear when requesting docking permission. They fixed an issue causing ships to be impounded when calling the ATC, the air traffic control, multiple times. Mining deposits shattered at optimal range should no longer cause damage to the player's ship, which is nice because mining was just sort of randomly dangerous because of that bug. The ARC L4 rest stop refinery elevators should now properly arrive when called. They fixed an issue causing many spawned items to not have proper inner thought prompts. The mouse should no longer break when you are using the Mobiglass. Gravlev vehicles should no longer have permanently unlocked item ports without notification or ability to toggle. They fixed missing pockets of no atmosphere inside multiple space stations. Climb performance should no longer drastically dip around Everest Harbour. They fixed missing terrain at the cave near Lawville. They fixed an issue causing the missing person to not appear at wreck sites for the missing person missions. Terminals should no longer become unusable for other players after a player disconnects while interacting with them. bunker-manned turret guns can no longer be detached using tractor beams and attached to your ship. That was a feature, clearly. Combat assistant missions should now progress correctly after enemy ships have been destroyed. They fixed an issue that was causing server stalls if multiple harvestable nodes shattered in quick succession. Inner thought text for requesting to take off should no longer display as request landing. Mining UIs should no longer appear in low resolution. Mining turret interactions should be easier to find. Players should no longer lose functionality of attempting to get into a pilot seat and open their inventory in quick succession. Salvage contract progress bars should no longer flicker when multiple players salvage the same object. Beyond all that, they also fixed 6 client and 8 server crashes, as well as multiple backend service update and crash fixes. The most egregious bug appears to have been solved, but I'm not sure why they haven't written it down here, which is the hangar doors bug, where it appeared that hangar doors were open, but they weren't. So you'd sort of fly out and that basically invisible hangar doors tricking you. But that appears to have been fixed. Please tell me in the comments if it hasn't for some reason. I would recommend avoiding Area 18. It does work for the most part, but the transit system there's some bugs with it that hate you. NPCs are no longer standing on seats. They're sitting on them. This is magical. There does appear that there's some known issues, though. Some of them quite major. Most of them minor, but they do need to get some of these solved, really, and it would make the game a huge bit better. So, known issues-wise, the new deal and Vantage rental kiosks are missing. Ships can explode from collision with invisible asteroids. Players' corpses will not despawn at Grimhex, which causes, obviously, some problems over time. Players are unable to fully back out of the primary residence selection due to the tutorial selection prompt. Art assets will clip through the train during journey in Lorville. Enemy combat FPS AI can be slow to respond or react. Destroyed ship thrusters may not be functional or be able to be restored after being repaired. Players can sometimes initially spawn or fall outside of a bed in a hab or hospital. Food items lack the store option in Inner Thought. Asperia ships can have opaque glass material blocking their vision. Urza rovers at Clash can sometimes spawn under garages preventing escape. If you activate the tractor beam in a hangar, you can bring the activated tractor beam in Armistice zones, which you're not supposed to be able to do. The hover quad spawns slightly stuck into the ground. Snubs won't work with Constellation and lack interactions. A specific rock formation on the Yedar Valley racetrack are visible to some players and not to others. Sections of the hull of the Carrack aren't salvageable in the way they should be. EVAing onto Korea's landing pads has a high chance of instantly killing that player. Trams, sometimes they disappear and players fall through them, or players just fall through the floors and shuttles to their death. Trams are out of sync as well with some of the station timers, causing trams to overlap and not appear on time. Now this is largely a problem with Area 18, but it does happen in other places as well. A lot of that stuff happens quite rarely. Obviously, there's stuff there that does just need to be fixed ASAP. Some players are still reporting loads of instability with 30Ks or broken inventories and ASOPs not spawning their ships. That appears to be, hopefully, and from what I've seen, an extreme minority of players affected by that. And some hotfixes or whatever hopefully will be deployed for that and solve a lot of those issues. It could have also been that some of these issues were just when, bam, the server's just gone live. There's some teething issues. There's obviously some service outages or whatever. Most complaints, however, appeared to be players annoyed, and rightfully so in a lot of cases, about losing their ships and items, etc., when they hadn't expected to. However, and you know I'm going to say it, it is just par for the course of Star Citizen being an alpha. This happens, and things like this will continue to happen for a few more years before the game's core is closer to being complete. I suspect when they deploy server meshing, everything will implode very briefly, and then there'll be a load of bugs to work out. I was surprised how short the patch notes were for 3.19.1, seeing that actually there's quite a lot more in there, so I've included that in this video, a reasonable amount of hidden features there. I am really interested to know your experience of 3.19.1 now on the live servers. Were you affected by your ships and items being wiped, or were you lucky enough to not have them wiped? What's the patch like? Are you having loads of problems, 30Ks, loads of bugs that you can't sort of solve, or this is hell, or has it been an absolutely fantastic experience, best Star Citizen experience ever? Is there anything I missed from what's been updated or changed in this patch as well? Because I suspect there's a few more little hidden things that I haven't noticed or missed out. Whatever your thoughts though, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
Let me tell you a story from the book of NordVPN/BoredGamer. There were 3 little pigs who all needed internet access. One used a VPN made of straw, one used a VPN made of wood, and one used NordVPN, which is basically bricks in this analogy. Along came an elite hacker wolf and smashed up the houses of the first 2 Piggly Wigglies, but was unable to breach the NordVPN house, which is just much better than straw or wood for protecting you from internet things like wolves and hackers. The moral of this story is get nordvpn.com/boredgamer or click the links below for powerful discounts that might make your friends think you are an internet wizard or something.
Also, that wolf went to prison for 10 years on an unrelated crime. Maybe it was like not liking or subscribing or something? Every month we have a ship giveaway for June 2023. That's going to be for an RSI Constellation Andromeda. This hybrid cargo gunship is perfect for small crews of up to 4. It comes with a P-52 Merlin snubfighter as well, along with lifetime insurance and game access. All you need to start playing Star Citizen. And all you have to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during the month. More details in the video description below. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider pressing the join button under my videos for exclusive membership to the channel, or become a Patreon. I've already got a load of lovely people that do that, and it really goes a long way in allowing us to make daily content. Thank you so much to my channel members and Patreons, but thank you so much for just liking, subscribing, commenting, and watching my videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.